Something has got to happen because we can no longer go down the path that we're going down. This country won't last another 6 months. This country won't last another 12 months if something doesn't happen. So it's time to flip the switch. It's time to get involved. It's time to move the line forward. And if you're not part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. So I don't care what flip the switch is. I don't care if that means that all of this nonsense is nonsense, or if some of it's true. All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome, Warriors, World Patriots, my fellow Americans. My name is Mike. I'm the host of Liberty Warrior. Give me liberty or give me death. When tyranny becomes law, rebellion becomes duty. It is Monday. Man, it's a Monday. It's February 21st, 2022. Like I said earlier in devotions, man, February, remember, is a short month, and it will be over before we even know it. So today's the 21st. So what do we got? 7 days left, a week from today. So a week from tomorrow be the 1st of March. So spring is right around the corner. It's ready to be sprung. All out with the old, in with the new. So pretty excited about that. I know temperatures around here in my hometown are definitely warming up. Snow's melting. I got green grass in my yard already in February. So that's kind of cool. Thank you, Lily J, for the super chat. Appreciate that. Yeah, so I don't really have too many updates tonight. I have a couple of people that I've sent the links for. So Shane is one of them. I sent another link out, and anybody that wants to join tonight's conversation, I sent the links out to them if they want to join. So tonight we're going to be talking about current events and what is wrong with this picture. A lot of stuff in the headlines. I didn't hit headlines today because I was traveling from South Idaho back home. Put in, was it 400 miles today? So quick and in a hurry. Down having another wonderful weekend, and so I'm refreshed. I'm ready to go for the week. I hope you all are as well. We had a good podcast today on Podbean with Jason Robo. He is a comedian out of California. Man, this guy is sharp as a tack. I'd put him up against anybody. He is very, very witty and sharp, and he knows his stuff, and he reads a lot of books. And it was a pleasure having him on Podbean this afternoon. And Shane and I talked after, and we'll be talking to Denise. We need to get him scheduled to come on with Shane, and then we'll have him back again with me too. So I didn't really challenge him. I just said, hey, read Red Handed from Peter Schweitzer, and I'm reading it. I will be reading it here soon. I'm going to do the audio book probably and have somebody read to me while I work. And then we're going to have him back on. And we're going to discuss that book. So that's probably a Podbean you guys won't want to miss, because I'm not going to tell you who. I'm just going to tell you on that Podbean that we do, there will be a special guest. They've already reached out to me, and they've already said, hey, listen, that's up my alley and I want to join. So absolutely, the answer is yes. I'm not going to tell you who it is. I'm just going to tell you for that Podbean, and I'll let you guys know. And it'll be Jason Robo with me again, and we're going to talk about the book written by Peter Schweitzer, Red Handed. That is definitely going to be one that you guys are going to want to listen to. You're going to want to share it out, because it's going to be, I think it's going to be a really great podcast. So, as soon as Shane jumps up here, and I sent out an invitation for another one of our guests, we'll see we'll see how they're doing. Shane may not be able to join tonight. I don't know. We'll see what his blood pressure is doing. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pray us in. We'll get started tonight, and possibly might take some live callers. So if you guys want to join in the conversation, we're going to talk about all the current events going on right now. I've been out on the news for the last couple of days, so when I dived into it, I just shook my head. I couldn't believe the stuff I was reading. So we'll talk about it. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for another blessed day. Thank you for getting us through another train wreck Monday, Lord, as we're all starting to get back to work and back to our regular scheduled lives. I know that a lot of us have had today off as President's Day, as we celebrate all the great presidents that have been here in America. Obama is not one of them. Neither is Biden. Lord, they are definitely not good presidents, but we still pray for them nonetheless, Lord. And I just thank you for giving us this time that we can share together and joke and have a good time. And Lord, I just pray that you bless everybody that's listening right now in the sound of my voice. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. I had to slide that one in there. Sorry. Let's hit some of the current events real quick while I wait for the other two to maybe hop up here and join me. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the Olympics, but it's not looking so good for their ratings. I want to talk about this real quick because I find it very interesting. I want to bring something to your guys' attention. And as Shane joins us here, I want to get his opinion of a couple things as well. How's it going, Shane?
I'm actually pretty good.
Good. So anyway, we're revved up and ready to go. I'm glad that you could join us. I also sent an email out to another person to see if they wanted to jump up here and talk current events as well. So invitation is always open. I just want to dive real quick right off the bat into the Olympics, Shane. And and the reason why I want to jump into the Olympics is I want to talk about this. I thought about this as I was eating dinner, and I wanted to ask Shane this question because Shane is like, what, 6 months older than me, Shane? You're like 6 months older.
A couple years, actually.
Yeah.
But...
All right. Well, let's just say that both you and I both have been around for a little while, right? Probably
a few days.
I've been around for enough moons to almost add up to half a century. And I didn't think I would even make it past my 20s, so that's an accomplishment in itself. But when have you ever in your lifetime, or even and I could be wrong about this, Olympic history, in the NBA history, in the NFL history, all together? Now, I know that there's been some off years. I know that we've had some walkouts, and we've had protests in professional sports. I get that. But when in history have you seen all of this happen at once? When in history have you seen the lowest ratings for the NFL, the lowest ratings for the NBA, the lowest ratings for NBL, the lowest ratings for the Olympics, the lowest ratings for the Emmys? CNN has the lowest ratings of 7 years. On and on and on and on. And it's not just, like I said, it's not just one professional sport that, is on strike, which we've had that in our history. And it's not the athletes, Shane. It's the viewers, it's the fans, it's the supporters that have absolutely said, we're not watching this. We're not paying attention to it. We're not supporting you. Super Bowl also had lowest ratings, lowest views in a long time. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, hang on a second. I hear something outside. I gotta give me just 1 second.
Yeah, no problem. So the question goes to the chat. When have you guys ever seen all of this combined all in one time and in a short amount of months? I mean, really, I'm going to go back. It started a year ago, maybe a little bit sooner than that, but it's really caught on. And you've got to think that the owners of the sports clubs, NFL themselves, the commission, and everyone else, CNN and them, they're losing millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars constantly. They're taking a financial hit, and they should take a financial hit, in my opinion. It's great the Patriots are standing up saying, if you kneel during the national anthem, if you disrespect our flag, we won't support you. And I think that's great. I think that's exactly what we should be doing. I hope that they get to a point where nobody's watching. Your thoughts, Shane?
No, I think that's exactly right. It's one of those deals that I have seen, in my own opinion, I have seen in between the government, okay, I'm not going to say CNN. Let's just say the mainstream media and all of them, they're all going through a lot of tough times. And it's, why is that? So you step back and look and you go, there's a lot of things going on here that just does not make sense. And I think we're in for a big false flag that's going to create a lot of trouble. I watched something today with Ukraine president, the ex-comedian, and he is like, no, you're not going to quit. He actually said the United States needs to quit putting out the bullshit about we're going to war with Russia. He actually said it. So what the hell is the American news doing? They're trying to create drama. And what's drama do? Well, then we go, oh, we're going to go to war. So everybody donates to make sure we're safe. And it's a lot of horse shit. It's a lie.
So, Shane, when you're sitting there during the day and you're on the computer and you're seeing this stuff pop up on your screen and you start reading through it and you're clicking on videos, how do you go through a process like this and knowing what's bull crap and what's not? And as you're seeing all this, what really registers in your brain? Because you're a very you're not a knee-jerk reaction type of guy. You really kind of you have a process that you go through, and I'd like for you to share that with the viewers tonight. There's a process that you go through as you're sifting through all this information, and some days it's more information than one person can really truthfully go through, and some days you're digging for any little piece of information because it's dried up. So as you're going through all this stuff, what Shane Phelps's process as he's going through it, and how do you kind of how do you get through the day and kind of find your way through all this information?
Well, me personally, I listen to it and I think for a couple hours, and then I go, it don't make sense. There's a lot of things that don't make sense. And that's what I look at is, why do these people keep putting out things? And you listen to other channels. And when I say other channels, I look all over the world for channels. We're being lied to by our own government, in my opinion. Now, I'm not saying that's correct. I'm just saying that is, why would Ukraine come out and say, the United States needs to quit putting out bad information because it's not true? But yet we have to hear it. It's because they're trying to start a war. This is the same thing they did with Vietnam, everybody else. Afghanistan, Iraq. I'm sorry, but I'm starting to think a lot of that now, just in my opinion. I'm not saying I'm correct. In a lot of my opinion, I think that's bullshit. We went to all these wars from a bunch of friggin' lies because of the shit that's put out to us, and we supported, the American people supported. And that's not correct. We supported a lot of things, and we spent a lot of money that we shouldn't have.
Yeah, I agree with you. Here's a news article from Breitbart today that says Ukraine was completely created by Russia. Putin recognizes the sovereignty of the pro-Russian border over there. He recognizes it. So why are some people putting out there that Ukraine, the border there, that the Russians are just running an exercise? They're planning on, and I've heard even reports come back saying that they've already loaded up a lot of them and have gone back to Russia, that it's an annual exercise or they do it twice a year or something like that. It's an exercise, but yet out of our camp, like you said, Shane, our administration, and I just read an article, it's here in Breitbart at the bottom, where Biden is still beating the old war drum there and basically calling for war. So what does Biden administration gain from what they're doing, Shane?
Well, in my opinion, it's because Okay. I'm going to say this very solidly. They are pro China, pro Ukraine, because they do not want the corruption to stop. The president of Ukraine now is trying to stop all the corruption, just like we are.
Mm-hmm.
And China, they just want to rule the world. They don't give two shits what it takes. They just want to rule the world. And that's why Biden does what Biden does. I mean, I could probably have some better words if I had a minute to think about that, but Biden is been paid off by China for 25 years. Period.
Yep. Yep.
He has been paid off for 25 years. Why in the hell would he ever say anything wrong about China? No, he blames everybody else so he can start a war. And it's all paid for by, and they pay for both sides of the war, but it's an easy way to make a few bucks and get inflation down. Everybody makes a few bucks, the rich get richer, and we still stay poor. It's bullshit. I'm
Right here
sorry.
in the Yeah, you're right, Shane. Right here in the article from Breitbart, it says Joe Biden cancels trip home to Delaware, agrees to meet again with Putin if he does not invade the Ukraine. So he's still putting it out there. It says a last-minute plans on Sunday to return home to Delaware as negotiations with Russian leader Vladimir Putin continue. Do you honestly, and I know the answer to the question, do you honestly think that Putin gives a damn about the Biden administration?
Well, I'll say this. I really don't think that Biden he's scared of Putin because Putin got rid of all the shit in his country that didn't need to be there. And we're trying to do that here in the United States. And he is pissed because if we did that, it would be a different world. But Biden did it. Or wait, let me rephrase that. Putin did it. Biden is trying to keep our new world order going. And there is not going to be a new world order. This world will cease to exist if Biden keeps pushing this. And that is my personal opinion. I'm sorry. It is. Yeah. It is what it is. I mean, that is a fact. And if anybody can look up anything you want, Putin did something. Everybody made Putin be the bad guy. Why? Let me ask you this. Why? Go look what he did. He didn't do anything wrong. He got rid of the central banks. He got rid of everything. All his money is backed by gold or silver or something like that. And he don't answer to nobody.
No, you don't.
So why are we pushing so hard against him? It's because it doesn't go align with the agreement that he has to have with the world order. And Putin went against this a long time ago, and Trump tried to do it, but he didn't get to stay in. And I'm not saying Trump's a genius or nothing. He just said what was out there, and And I'm not saying that I don't care if Trump comes back or not, in my personal opinion, but actually pointed it out that we cannot listen to all the propaganda out there.
Well, I think there's more to it, in my opinion. I think Putin definitely is not owned. He's not afraid of anybody. I think who's owned, and I agree with you, Shane, is definitely Biden, the Biden administration, the Biden family. Um, that book, Red Handed, it pretty much tells you what's out there. I've read parts of it already, and it's just amazing how these people continue to do this and get away with it. Why they're not behind bars? Why they're not in prison for life or worse? I just don't understand how they continue to get away with this, because they have lined their pockets, Shane. They have lined their pockets over and over and over again. The Bushes did it with the Kuwait war. They lined their pockets. Now, Biden did it during the Obama administration. He's doing it again now. Remember this, Shane, if I go back in time and remember when they were worried about Trump becoming president because he was going to benefit from being president. Remember that was the slander that they were throwing against him, that, well, if he becomes president, then, he's going to make sure that he becomes more wealthy than he already is. Didn't he lose something like $1 billion when he was president? And I realize he's going to get all that back and then some. But my point being, well, he was president. He was president. He wasn't out there. He wasn't out there worried about making money. He was focused on getting America back on track and making a big difference, which he did, in my opinion. Well, it doesn't even have to be in my opinion. It's fact that we did better under Trump. It's just these guys already from China have received over $30 million, and who knows from the Ukraine how much they've received from them. So it's just, in my opinion, it's just a money laundering scheme, and now they want war so they can make more money.
Oh, and excuse me. I'm not going to disagree with you, because it is a Trump did pretty good. He was probably, since JFK, and I think JFK was what, a Democrat?
Yes,
But
he
he was
was.
the old Democrat.
He was the old Democrats.
Yes, he was not the new one. So I think that all that in between now and then, since 63 till now, somebody had it set it straight, and somebody come in, kick the bee's nest, and now we're all paying attention. It's like, there's some problems here, and I'm going to tell you, and it's not because United States is the best place in the world, because we're all mankind, we're all human, period. I don't think that God blessed America. I think he blessed the whole world. And we got trapped in a bullshit society that is about money, war, and politics. And period. We should not be trapped in that. Here's kind of my theory. I've always said, if Biden wants to go support Putin, maybe them two just need to go duke it out, and whoever wins, wins. It don't involve me, you, our kids. It doesn't involve everybody else. It involves them two. They're done. If Putin wins, okay, we're owned by Russia. Great. Who cares? Here's the thing. As long as it's safe, we get to do what the hell we want to do, like we're supposed to. by God and by the 600 and some references he's made in the Bible for us, then yes, do it. But if you want to have a war, why in the hell kill all of our friggin' kids for your pleasure to make a few bucks? But then they send their kids over there to make millions and billions of dollars, and that's okay. No, I'm just not happy with that. Not happy with that whatsoever.
No, it's a dirty game they play, and they're the ones that continuously benefit from it while the rest of us keep paying out of our own pocket. So let's shift gears real quick here, Shane. We got Bill Gates, who's back in the news too. I know he's kind of been MIA for a while, but he goes on record to say that sadly the Decepticon is a type of vacation, getting out to the world faster. So these guys are writing this for all it's worth. But man, I've been around for the last 2 weeks. I've been all over the place in all different places, restaurants, movie theaters, you name it. I've been everywhere, and it's great to see people being back to just a normal life. And yes, there are people that choose to put on face coverings, and that's fine. That's their choice. But the great thing is I went to so many different places, and the restrictions, the requirements aren't there anymore. And that was something that I was a little bit concerned about when I went to South Idaho. Is there are some small little places around here that still believe in all that nonsense, and they still try to push it on you. So I'm just curious, in chat and across the country and across the world, where do you guys stand in your areas? Does it seem like things are kind of getting back to normal? What are you seeing there in Beaver, Shane, and your family and everything when they go to the store, and the things that they see? Is everybody listening to the show tonight? Does everything seem like it's kind of just fading away, and it's just kind of more for somebody like me? It's more like a distant memory. It's not even something that I don't want to remember, to be honest with you. So the whole sickness, the whole vacations, and the wearing of the dirty diapers. What's it like in your neck of the woods? What's it like where you guys live? Is it finally starting to hit where people are just saying, you know what, I've had enough of this crap. It's over with. And a lot of us haven't done it since the beginning. And then others, bought into it for a short period, and then they stopped following along with it. And some people, it took a year. So what's that like where you guys are at? What's it like where you're at, Shane?
Well, we here in Oklahoma, we went through a little spell. It was 2 weeks, and we had a big parade that come through town. I remember hearing all the vehicles and shit come by, and it was like, thank you for staying home and not, spreading this disease. And they had the big gold giveaway of free food and all this shit. I'm like, okay, everybody go to it. That's fine. We have not, after 2 weeks after that shit was done, there ain't nobody in this town wear a friggin' diaper. We have, it's all, let me rephrase. It's not bullshit. It's just, they just rephrased of what it actually is. If you look back 3 years, so I looked it up, influenza A and B could cause more damage to a person than what this does. And it actually, if you look back all the way to 2015, We are, there is no more in the United States, there's no more deaths, has been since 2015. So, how is this shit so bad? Nothing. So you go back and look at that and you go, hmm, there's something here. This is all a dreamed up drama that I'm very pissed about, because now everybody's in uproar and everybody's in a, I don't care who you are. If you're listening right now, you go look up the deaths in 2015, 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. America has no more deaths than what they normally do.
Yep.
It's a, without saying a Jeff B word, it's a lie.
Yeah,
I've said the F word, but I'm pissed about it because people will not wake up and see the truth about this piece of shit flip flop that can't even figure out if masks work. And but you go to a professional medical center and they'll tell you it don't friggin' work. They've been telling me for 50 years a virus has to run its course. You cannot protect it from uh, a facial diaper or anything like that. And it just really pisses me off. So
Well,
sorry.
I think a lot of people have finally woke up. A lot of people have had their fill of it. Um, they'll keep dreaming up the next variant and the next variant and the next variant. But I mean, honestly, we don't hear about it too much anymore. We talk about it on Podbean once a week. I don't see much of it, Shane. It's. I said this a year ago. I said this a year and a half ago. I said one day we're all going to wake up and it's going to just magically disappear. And it is getting real close to that day where one day it's just going to like vanish. There's not going to be, nobody's going to be talking about it. Nobody's going to care because it's just going to fall on deaf ears. The more they talk about it on CNN and the rest of them, the more people are going to turn the TV off. So I think they're realizing that here real quick too. A lot of people are just saying, you know what, I'm just turning this crap off. So I think we're winning. I think we're winning on all kinds of fronts. I see the winning going on with the sickness and the mandates. Heck, even some of the strongest restricted countries in the world are throwing mandates right out the window, and Israel is one of them. So Israel, Australia, they're all starting to come around. I think March 5th was a few of their dates. March 5th. I ask them, if you're going to throw the mandates out, why do you have to put a date on it? Why do you have to wait till March 5th? What's going to happen before March 5th? Why can't you just say, you know what, starting today, we're done with it? Why do you think that they have to set a date on that, Shane? It doesn't make any sense. And then once you answer that question, I want to hop over here and hit this this comment that's here on the screen.
There is Biden said it 2 weeks ago. He says, well, it is a state by state problem. We can't, promise he was going to defeat this shit and all that crap.
Mm-hmm.
And then he turns around and says, well, this is going to be a state by state problem. We're done with it. In other words, that's a soft letdown to, it's a bullshit lie. Period.
Mm-hmm.
That is, this is influenza. That's all it is. Maybe A or B with maybe a spike protein. Okay. Yeah. And yes, does it have the spike protein have some serious issues with it? Yes, it can. If you've got more than one comorbidity. But it's not, he even said it. He said it out loud, and people just don't pay attention. This is all a bullshit lie.
Well, I want to touch on something before we hit this comment. Just real quick, Shane. Look back for the last 2 years. Look at all the devastation that not just America, but Canada and the rest of the countries around the world. Look at all the devastation that humanity has incurred because of this pandemic that they unleashed on us. And what I want to bring to your attention is let's think about all the businesses that closed during this time. Remember, they said put the diaper on for 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and then we're going to get back to normal. That never happened. Think of the mom and pop stores and businesses that shut down and will never open again. Millions of them across this country and all over the world that lost everything during this pandemic. Think about the elderly that were scared to death. To be honest with you, if they were in the grocery store and somebody sneezed or coughed, everybody looked at them like you were a murderer. You just coughed in public, or you just sneezed in public. How dare you? The mental anguish that our elderly had to go through. Think of the elderly that were in all of the nursing homes, and they infected the nursing homes, and we lost a lot of people due to that, Shane. Let's think about our children, the mental abuse that our children have had to go through for the last 2 years in school. Think of how some of the kids in the previous year missed out on a lot of education because they had to stay home and learn online. And I'm here to tell you, it was horrible to learn online because you didn't even have to show up for class and they'd pass you, because guess what? It's the sickness. So you get a passing grade no matter what. Think about this. Think about how they introduced the vacations to us, Shane, and millions of people rushed out and stood in line to get jabbed once, to get jabbed twice. Now they're on booster 1, 2, 3, and 4. 23,000 Americans have lost their lives just due to the vacation itself. How devastating. How does the world bounce back from this? How does America bounce back from the devastation of some very evil people unleashing a pandemic on the population of the world?
That's a very good question. My only theory on that is if every country would go back and look at their last 5 years per year, we're nowhere. We're actually under this year. I mean, no one's even died of decapitation. No one's died of cancer. I mean, come on. What was it? Oh, yeah, it was this pandemic. It is all a made-up bullshit story. Now, granted, don't get me wrong. Is there something with this that, yes, that could be a little more dangerous than influenza? But it's all a bullshit lie. Now, granted, it can be very detrimental to some people, and I really do not want to take anything away from them people. But you got to remember this. I mean, people need to wake up and look at what's actually going on around the world, not what is that? LSD and the Communist News Network and CBS, and it's look at something other than that. There's a lot of things going on that don't make sense. Now, we've got something going on right now that is probably more detrimental to us than this pandemic that they couldn't get to work. And that is the thought of war. And somebody's pushing it forward. And I'm going to tell you, people, we've got to wake up and say no, or we're going to be in something we cannot control because it's going to get out of hand. Because if we go into a war this time, this is a world ender. Because too many people's got nuclear power. So why risk a lot of people when you send over a big old bomb and take care of people? And then you ain't got nothing to worry about, right? Yeah, well, that has repercussions. So we've got something bigger we need to be looking at.
Well, here's my opinion of the question that I asked about the devastation of humanity. I think each and every person at this point, I think each and every person that played a part in this, and we will talk about Fauci and Gates and the rest of them, they should all be accountable for their actions. They should all be held accountable for the liabilities and all the things that have happened in the last 2 years for people losing their lives because they packed them in nursing homes, children being mentally hurt right now because of having to go to school constantly wearing a diaper on their face. I think people who have taken the vacation and suffered effects from it or even death, I think they should be held accountable for it. And I'm sorry, but that stems all the way down to nurses. That stems all the way down to the doctors, anybody who's administered that stuff. I'll give you a pass maybe at the very get-go, but once you started seeing this information and this data start coming out and you were still forcing that on people, shame on you. You should be held accountable for it. This also goes out to all the employers out there that forced people to take something like this just to keep their job. Shame on them, and they should also be held accountable for it. Anybody who's lost their job or have been fired because of mandates, I'm telling you right now, hold on to those receipts, keep them in a nice, safe place, put them in a safe, because I promise you, you're going to get an opportunity to use those. You're going to have the opportunity to turn around and jump into a class action lawsuit against the employers that wrongfully terminated people because of these mandates. I think you're going to get an opportunity if you are a family member who has lost a loved one because of this. Hold on to those receipts, hold on to those death certificates, because on those death certificates, they'll say exactly the cause of death. They like to puff those numbers up. So they put it right there in black and white. So keep those, hold on to them, because I promise you, Michigan is just the start. So Michigan started a class action lawsuit against Blue Cross Blue Shield for wrongfully terminating, I think it was around 100 medical employees, nurses, doctors, and such, and they sued them. And they're in litigation right now. So hold on to all that information, folks. If you had to walk away from your job because you were not gonna comply, you weren't gonna consent to any of this stuff, I really believe you're going to have an opportunity here to turn tables on these guys. And God help you employers that push this. You are probably some of the worst people out there. I can maybe give you a short little pass at the very, very get-go, maybe, but I would never force anybody to do any of this stuff ever. I don't care what the government told me. So for those of you employers out there listening right now, I think karma, I think justice will be knocking on your door here real soon, because the mental and physical anguish that this world has had to go through in the last 2 years is unacceptable. In my book, it's 100% unacceptable. We should have never went down this road. We should have never had to endure what we've endured for the last 2 years. And worst of all, the elderly and our children, the most vulnerable people in our society, have been affected the most. They've suffered the most. They've died. They've had mental breakdowns over this. It's horrible. And these people should have to be held accountable, and they should have to pay. There should be some justice there, whether it's criminal justice or whether it's civil or both. Criminal justice is locked up, civil is lawsuits, and they have to pay financially. And I hope both happens. And for those doctors and nurses out there that continue to force this on people, you're some of the, in my opinion, some of the worst people out there. I wouldn't save you if you were caught on fire. I just really, I hate saying that, but man, they're just, why are you still forcing this on people? It's been proven it doesn't work. None of it works. It's all a bunch of crap, and we're still fighting it. But I guess my point was, I'm starting to see a shift, and it's a big shift, and it seems like it's not just one or two little things here, Shane. It's a huge, massive shift that people are shifting away from this. They're not buying into it any longer, and they're not going to put up with it. Not one more day.
And you know what? They shouldn't.
No,
it's time we all stand up and go, excuse me. It's time we all stand up and go, hey, this is enough. We have been stomped on, treaded on. They wiped their feet on us. It's time that we go, okay, I'm tired of being the doormat. I want to be the door. And until we can do that, it's going to be tough. And like I said, they're going to do something extreme because we're all starting to stand up. And you know what? Every time we stand up, they pull something extreme, like a war or like a false flag in a whatever they pull. You can look back and see it. We're fixing to have to go through that because they're at their end. They have to do something. And that's why Biden is pushing so hard against Putin. Putin's protecting his border. That's what we should do on our south border. But he's just protecting his friggin' border. Yeah. That's it. So why is he a bad guy? He puts a few people there. Well, I'm sorry. Right now, we need about 150,000 troops on our south border. But Biden won't.
I agree, Shane.
So that's the only difference. But it's a big war. The UN's going to go in. There's a reason Biden and his family is protecting Ukraine. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what the hell is going on there.
Yeah, bought and paid for. Paid for. Great points, Shane. Great points. We should be protecting our border. I hope to get Frank Lopez Jr. on here real soon so he can update us on what's going on our southern border. I know Denise is working on it. So here, let's shift gears again here. Let's talk about the comment that's at the bottom of the screen here. So it sounds like the Emergency Act was just passed in Canada. I don't know how recent this is. I've been out of the news for the last 3 days. I don't know if it happened before the weekend, over the weekend, or just today itself. But we talked about this late last week. This Emergency Act, Shane, gives the PM of Canada the ability to claim warlike tactics, and he can come in and round people up. We're talking about some of the God-fearing, God-loving patriots in Canada, the people that are standing up in Ottawa right now, Ottawa, Calgary, and Quebec. They're all out there fighting for their freedoms, trying to have their voices being heard. And the thing is This has all been peaceful, Shane. This has all been peaceful. Of course, they label it as this is illegal. They're blocking the roads illegally. Again, I bring up the summer of love of 2020. How come there wasn't outrage when they took over 6 square blocks in Portland and barricaded it all and stopped businesses, stopped mom and pop businesses from operating? What a horrible situation that the people in Portland went through, and nobody cared. Nobody cared. Matter of fact, you had people like Hills Up condone it and say, "Oh, this should have happened a long time ago. This is great. We're glad to see people, standing up for their rights." I think one person even said, "Standing up for their rights." But when it comes to patriots, when it comes to God-fearing, God-loving patriots who are actually fighting for freedoms, it seems like there's a double standard there, Shane.
Well, we are persecuted for we want to be left alone, and the government wants to control everything, and so we butt heads. The shit going on over there and up in Canada is, yeah, they tried to demoralize everybody. Everybody's an insurrectionist and they're creating trouble. And no, they went up there for a reason, and that was to say, hey, Trudeau needs to go. And no one's listening. Now, I hear it's starting to unwind and everybody's starting to leave, but Trudeau still needs to go. That's like here. Biden to go because he's destroying the country. And if people
let's go. Let's go, Brandon.
Yes. If people can't see that he's hurting America, not helping it. I'm not saying I want Trump back or anything else. I just want somebody other than him in there. And trust me, it's not Heels Up Harris by no means. She's worse than him. It's one of those deals. We cannot keep doing this and succeed in. Here's the thing. Let me rephrase this. If we stay on this path, you, me, and everybody else will be dead within a year. I promise you. And that's a scary thing to say. But look what they are trying to do. They're trying to start a war. They're trying to start all this stupid shit with the face mask. They are throwing everything at us as fear porn. Now there's a new variant, and there's another new variant, and there's another new variant. Bullshit. There is
mold will be the next one, Shane.
Oh, and it's just one of those deals. It's like we've got to stand up and say, okay, we're done. We are done. And
so go ahead. One of the comments in chat was, could we explain what the Emergency Act is? Now, I don't know how much you've looked into it, Shane. I've looked into it a little bit, and from my understanding, it gives the Prime Minister Trudeau the capability of like it's kind of like a wartime act, meaning that thank you for the super chat, Jeffrey. I appreciate that. He can basically look at the protesters, the patriots, the citizens there in Ottawa and any province in the country of Canada as a threat. And if he deems them a threat, regardless of what they say, what they wear, whether they stack up their semi trucks and block traffic, whatever he deems a threat, then he has the capability of sending in forces to round those people up and to deal with them. Whether that's arresting them and holding them as a political prisoner, or I don't know, worse. I don't know. Can you get worse than that? That's what that means. It's unlimited. Yes, Kathy, it's unlimited powers. So it gives him the capability of, basically, he doesn't need Parliament at that point to okay or authorize any of the actions that he deems necessary to protect Canada or Ottawa, the capital, or anything. That's my understanding of it. So it's thank you, United We Stand. Appreciate that. John E. here, martial law. It's martial law. Good, thank you. Martial law. It's not good. That's all I can say is it's not good. So when Shane says that he hears that people are kind of starting to make their way out of there, that's the reason why. Some of them are like, hey, we probably ought to scoot before we get picked up. But the problem is this just like J6 here in America? They're going to go back to Facebook posts and Facebook videos, and they're going to go into all kinds of cameras and get facial recognition and start picking out the people that were there, regardless if they head home now. At this point, they've got what they need, and I don't know what this means. I'm going to be watching it and paying attention to it, but it's not, in my opinion, it's not good for the Patriots, and it's unfortunate because, folks, this is what tyranny does. Tyranny will use their authority and their power against the people. And that's what I feel like they're doing right now in Canada. They're using their authority and their power against the people. And that's not okay. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable in Canada. It's unacceptable here in America. Shane, your thoughts?
Well, excuse me. I do want to address something in the chat. I seen something that said Shane is drunk. Okay. You know what? Shane is drinking. Shane is having a few beers. Shane is not 100%. I do not, when my pills quit working, but I found out that beer is a diuretic. It thins your blood. And if that's what keeps me alive, people, I'm going to do it. Sorry, whether you like it or not.
Yeah,
I am going to. Well, there's people out there that said something.
They say stuff about me all the time, Shane.
Oh, I know it. And it's not like I'm trying to make an excuse. I don't want an excuse. I will say this. Beer is a blood thinner. Right now, apparently, I have something going on with my body that I have to have blood thinners to keep me alive. And if you want me to quit drinking, great. But I won't be here anymore. So what do you want?
I don't
you want me to be here?
I don't want that, Shane.
I
want you to be here. I want you to be here. So you do you, brother. You do you, and I just keep praying for you every day.
If I slur my words, I apologize. I'm not trying to, but obviously, I still keep my mind.
You're all right here, Shane. We're just gonna move forward, brother. So, what are your thoughts on this this martial law, this emergency act? I just gave my thoughts on it, Shane, and I'd like to hear yours.
The one out of Canada.
Yeah.
How, here's my biggest question: is how is he still in control with half the country against him?
Why is Biden still in control and he's got like 90% of the country against him?
Well, and it's one of those deals. It's like, okay, America hasn't woke up and made it a point, but Canada has. They have spoke up and said, why is he still there? I heard something the other day that he was questioned about his presidency due to no one wants him there anymore. So how come he keeps fighting against it and everybody keeps letting him stay?
Well,
There's something
they will
going on we can't control, and that's
they will
where
never
we go.
they'll never they'll never give up their power, Shane. They'll never give up their power. And
No.
so here's a comment, and I'd like for you to answer this. Do you think that that's the direction that our administration will head to very soon? Do you think that that Biden will try to, if Trudeau is successful in using this executive power and using martial law and rounding up any type of patriot that he disagrees with, do you think that the Biden administration will look at that as, hey, man, it worked for them, let's do the same thing? Because I'm telling you, there's a lot of whispers out there. I hear it all over the internet, all over YouTube. A lot of people talking about it, that that's the direction that they feel that this administration is going to take, is they're going to head down that same road and say, you know what, the Patriot movement is a terrorist group and it's a threat, and we need to extinguish it, and we need to protect America and protect the citizens. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to go after them. Your thoughts on that, Shane?
Well, my thoughts are we're going to have a tough time. And because I do see that coming, but the only thing we can do is stand up. I mean, but the American people won't. They're so busy beating up each other here, they won't stand up. And we've got to stand up and give our elected officials a big old square foot in the ass, tell them to straighten up or go away.
Here's a comment, but there's another good comment here too. So Phyllis, and hello Phyllis B. She's always in my my devotions. She says someone said Brandon already did it today. I don't know if he did or he didn't, but here's a good point. Would he do it when the American people are armed to the teeth? Your thoughts on that, Shane?
He's got 3 people that watch him. 3. And that's Jen Psaki, him, and Harris, because she's trying to screw him. She's trying to, I'm going to say this very politely, she's trying to over and give him the old ramrod. And he's probably going to accept it. That's just all there is to it. And he's full of shit. He has never done anything he said, and he is a liar. Everything he said from the time he was running till now is a friggin' lie.
Yeah. Shane, I need you to calm down for just a minute, man. I don't need you to get that blood pressure going. So we'll just chill for just a minute, all right?
All right.
I don't I don't want to be the cause of anything bad. So let's just take a breath. I'm getting something ready here.
You're gonna bring up something serious.
No, I'm not going to bring up. I'm going to bring in somebody serious. So I'm going to bring in somebody serious to help us with this conversation.
Oh, here
So
we go. Here we go. This will be good.
I was waiting for him to reply. I'm going to send it to him anyway. I'm pretty sure that's who it was. So I sent him the link if they want to hop up here and help us out with the conversation, because I guarantee you they probably spent a lot more time this weekend paying attention to all this stuff that we're talking about. So if he wants to hop up here, he can hop up here and help us along with some of this stuff. I think he was trying to help us in the chat. I think he changed his name. Okay, I see it in chat now. So I sent you the link, brother, if you want to hop up here real quick. We'll get your take on all this. So just calm down for just a minute.
Okay.
Just take a breath, Shane. We don't want to get too wound up. I did send the link to Jeff B as well. He was in here earlier in chat, and I texted him and just made sure it was the real Jeff B. He said it was, so I sent him the link earlier in the program if he wanted to jump up here. Just so you guys know. Man, it's starting to get cold in my house. Starting to get cold again. I'm gonna start a fire after the show's over, but regardless if Biden does this or not, I think he's going to have a whole different mess to deal with than what Trudeau does. I think if Biden tries to push an issue like this, it's going to be like pissing up a rope, and it's not going to be pleasant for the administration. So let's bring John E. in the conversation. How you doing, brother?
Well, I'm doing great. I'm listening. You guys have hit a lot of high points. I wrote and published a couple of blogs, put one up today that is relevant to this conversation, because we have to define what is taking place. I believe that because I watch the economy and I understand the debt clock and the fact that this nation is upside down when it comes to debt versus GDP. We're running about 125 to 130% negative on our GDP. That means for everything that we take in and produce, we're spending an additional 30%. So it's not sustainable. And we already have hundreds of trillions of dollars of all debt liability. And if historically, and when you go back and you look at how deflation created the Great Depression, and this coming economic collapse will be through inflation. And this inflation has been ongoing since the recovery and since we went to a Keynesian economic format, and that's what they have fed the central bankers, and it should have been done away with probably from 1975 if we would have shifted and altered and modified it. We possibly could have survived, but the fact that what government has done is continue to expand and grow government. The largest employer on the planet is the United States government.
Yes, sir.
And it's on the back of 35% of the tax-paying population. Anytime you reach and you approach that, when you've got 49% of the public working to support 50%, it's not a sustainable. 51% is not a sustainable deal. Well, we're way past that now. So and I have shared that with you multiple times, always watch the economy, because the reaction of the central bankers, and that's what the Federal Reserve is, that's a foreign entity. And every time that the economies, either through deflation or inflation, become overbalanced or unbalanced, they have always marched into war. World War I, World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam War, every war, what we did in the Middle East was we had nations like Libya, let's see, what's the one, Iraq, and those people had economies built on gold and oil. So the central bankers forced the petrodollar, created the petrodollar, where no one could buy or sell oil after the embargo with Jimmy Carter. No one could buy or sell oil because the world economy then became based. If you wanted to buy a barrel of oil, I don't care who you were, what nation you were, you had to buy it with a U.S. dollar. That's why they call our dollar the petrodollar. Well, enough is enough, and Mr. Putin is a man who he was part of the KGB. He's a murdering son of a gun, man. He was Soviet Union, communist strong, and he knows the mechanism that the central banks used to collapse the ruble and to bring down and collapse the Soviet Union. And when you look at Ukraine, Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union. And when the Soviet Union was broken up, there were still Russian mafia people that became the oligarchs in charge of the Ukraine. And Vladimir knows that. So he knows the criminality and everything that they've done, and the people, every nation who's been in bed up. When we look at Joey Dimes and Hunter and all of their millions of dollars that they have taken out, Putin knows every step that was made. So it's natural that, his disdain and his hate, he is not going to allow the central bankers to collapse Russia again. He's gone to a gold-backed currency. He's backed his currency with gas and oil.
Yep.
Because now there's no longer people, you don't have to trade in petrodollars. They've all moved away from petrodollars. Some of them are exchanging crude oil for the yuan, the Chinese yuan. And he partnered and he met with Xi Jinping, and they sat down and they had their conversation, and look, I got you back, Vlad, whatever you decide to do. But it's all about economics. And if you haven't watched the market, pay close attention to the decline in the stock market. It's continuing. I think the futures right now are running about a negative 400, some open tomorrow. So, and we've seen a steady decline over the last couple of weeks. We're seeing this steady decline in alternative currencies. The cryptocurrency market is in decline. So there's a lot of things happening, and it always is their mechanism to drive toward war, because war will they could care less who the victor is, but Vlad wants to do away not with the United States. He wants to end the United Nations and NATO. He knows who the central bank supports.
Yeah.
So this is going to be, and Joey Dimes keeps funneling and sending troops. And
that's what I've been saying.
Yep.
Putin does not. He's not against America. He's against the UN. He's against. Now, yes, he's teamed up with China on parts of his little deal, but is he against? When he joined up with China, was that the CCP? Or was it the China Republic?
Well, and there is a big difference, Shane, and there are many things happening to the CCP right now in their economy, and that's what, when I look and I say look at the economy, I mean the economy not just of the United States of America, but the entire world, because the CCP does have and did get in bed with the same central bankers that collapsed the Soviet Union. So now, when you look at their economy, it's in as rapid a decline, and I think at a faster pace because of their very large corporations are in financial trouble. And here in the United States, we haven't seen that. We've got a lot of technology that's where the biggest hits are, but it'll be a snowball effect. It was just like the Great Depression. It took one bank in New York to have to close its doors, and the fact that it was a Jewish operated bank, some people say that's relevant to the conversation, but there still was at that time, there was a Federal Reserve in place that could have bailed them out and given them the cash and the capital, because they were only just like 2 blocks away. They
Yeah.
could have gave them the cash, but they allowed the run on that bank. And when they did, that was seen because back in the day, it was only radio and newspapers. And a lot of people got the newsprint directly from the New York, where that's where Wall Street is. That's where the stock. So when they read this article about a New York bank, and the name of the bank was the Bank of the United States. Get that? So a lot of people misinterpreted out in the hillside and around the country. They misinterpreted that bank actually was the United States Bank, when actually it had nothing to do with the United States. It was just a name that they captured before anybody else. They thought it gave them strength. And they had huge deposits. So when they collapsed, then everybody around the country started knocking on the door of their local bank and saying, look, if they collapse the U.S. bank, I want my money. And they had runs on the bank, and people started taking their cash out of the banks, and that brought the system down. So that's never, I never advocate running on the banks, because I know how that went. History is a wonderful thing. But I captured what you're seeing different now than in that time period with the Great Depression. The leaders of the world were actually working with the people to create and recover their economies. What we have is tyranny. We have tyrannical governments and leaders who have chipped away, and taken more and more power and grown their governments to be all powerful, controlling the people. And that's tyranny at its root. So now you've got tyrannical leaders like Justin Trudeau, and what he did and what he exercised, his parliament should have taken a vote of no confidence, and perhaps they will. That's the only way to recover it and seize that and stop what he's doing. But right now, he's just like a dictator. He's in full control, and he's given handed control, and they're actually using some UN troops mixed in with the Canadians. They were there training by happenstance. He only had a couple of weeks to get them there. So these are people that are not, some of them are not Canadians. So they're abusing Canadians. When they've got these red zones marked, they'll beat you in the head. They'll lock you up, they'll arrest you. So it's tyranny. And could that tyranny take place in the United States of America? Well, yes. I think that the entire vid scenario, the pandemic, was an exercise in control. What can we get people to do? And they monetarily profited from the vacations that we know, and we share that story every week about what that's doing. But the primary point was seizing capital and taking capital from the federal government and handing it to their buddies in the pharmaceutical industry and robbing the people, but also controlling people. You have to do this or you can't shop. You have to have that on or you can't see your doctor. Oh, we won't give you a heart transplant unless you do this. Mm-hmm. That is tyranny at its core. And it's medical tyranny, but it's still tyranny in who implemented the mandates. Joey Dimes. He forced. And what did he say during all of the campaign? No, I would never exercise and put a mandate on the people. but then he showed you his hand. So he's already shown prior to Justin Trudeau, he has exercised and he's watched around the world. Look at Australia. Those people were the first people to feel the tyrannical boot of their government upon their throats.
Yep.
France. But what are the people doing? As a world, and I cover that in the blog, the world is awake. We, the people, see. We've got it. We understand this. Protest, peaceful protest, will be squashed by a tyrannical boot. All right. What then is the result of that? Because here's what they believe. They believe that the percentage of people that will go along to get along outnumber those who will resist. Canada, what did he continue to say every time he gave a speech? 90% of the Canadians have done the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, and there's only 10% of these people we have to deal with. And then what did he do? He labeled them as terrorists, racist, he radicals. He painted them with the negative brush. Now, where do we get that in history? How did Mr. Adolf paint the Jew?
Yep. Same way.
These are the people that destroyed your economy. They're greedy people. They'll take all of your money. They have to be destroyed. This is the root of all evil. And he preached it and he screamed it. And then the people got behind it and they killed off a bunch of innocent human beings. So we have to be very guarded. It's scary times, but I have great hope because I know that if they think America is anywhere near that mark, they are lying. I don't think that the number of people that are fully vacationed as per the CDC guidelines, I think it's below 60%. So they will miss their mark. And the American people have a unique situation where we were granted by our great founding fathers that we have a weapon to turn back the tyrant. If the tyrant wants to bring it on, bring it on. But will there be suffering? Let's maintain the peacefulness that God has given to us, that our rights are, we derive our rights and freedoms from God. That's working for us in every battle that we're fighting on the front of religious freedom versus religious exemption. We're winning. We're chipping away. We have great constitutional attorneys that are battling across this nation and winning. So, what does Joey Dimes know? They know what their rights are. How are we going to remove their rights? So he knows he's got the same mechanism. And when they bring that mechanism in, if Joey Dimes is willing to do that, well, then we'll know where our mark is. We'll take the mark of what he does.
Yeah.
We've made our choice. We're not following, and we're not going to be controlled.
I agree with you, John. So Shane, to get you back into the conversation, I'm gonna wrap this up and go handle my son. I'm gonna give you a chance to go first on final thoughts, Shane.
Well, my final thought is people's got to wake up, look around the world. Don't look at our channel or anybody else's channel. Look around. There's a lot of things going on right now that just doesn't make sense. And if you look at the potential wars that's going, that they want to start, that is not, it's pretty bad when Ukraine puts out a video today saying America needs to quit putting out propaganda that we are going to war with Putin. And it was flat out. I mean, I watched it. I was like, so, Putin at the border And Putin and I don't even know what his name is there. I can't think of his name. Ukraine, there's no war. He's just protecting his border.
Yeah.
Why can't we do the same?
Yeah.
If we don't protect our border, does that mean we're going to war with Mexico? No. That means we're protecting our damn border.
Yeah. Which we
If
don't.
Mexico sends them up to the border, we didn't go to war. We just protected our border. And they helped us because that's what we asked. Or we're going to cut off their finances, which the finances that go all over the world need to be cut off anyway.
I agree.
You want to send money to somebody, send it to our vets, send it to our people that need it, not all over the world. There is no reason why we support. What was it, Mike? It was a people riding bicycles that was bisexual or something like that.
Bicyclists for bisexuals. I don't know.
Yeah, it was something stupid, and it was like $3 billion. I'm thinking, does people not know that $1 billion will give everybody in America, the 330 million of us people here, will give us $3 million a piece. Period. So why in the hell are we sending money everywhere else, but we can't help our own people?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's stupid. And the bad thing is we're dumb enough to keep giving them the damn money because the government doesn't create anything. They don't build anything.
If everybody stopped paying taxes, it'd be a short fight at that point. It'd be over.
Oh my God. These people would, they'd go home and go, hell, we can't afford a plane flight home. Well, good, because you remember all that Green New Deal you wanted.
Walk.
You can't fly because your cosmic bullshit is causing what caused bullshit. And I apologize, guys, and I'm sorry.
No, Shane, you're spot on, brother. And I'm gonna tell you, you got to know that for a 2-week period with all the trucks and everything that did shut down across Canada, what did it do? It impacted their commerce. So we, the people, got a lot more power. We just failed to unite. If we stood united, and I've seen some advocates for this over the last couple of days on Telegram and Facebook, if we just united in a 7-day sick out across this country, it would send them into turmoil. They would freak out.
Yes, sir. John, you want to give us your final thought before I end this?
Well, I'm like Shane. There's a lot of things that just make absolutely no sense. But then there are things that, it's uniquely tied to historical facts, so you can't just discount them. But there are things that we're not aware of on the world stage that we don't have the inside track on, and that's by design to keep us hidden, because what we actually are is we're the fodder. We're the cannon fodder. Our children have been cannon fodder. We are the economic engine because we are the enslaved people that work for the master corporations that they created. And I think that their little plan and everything that they have done and carried out is collapsing down around their ears. So then it'll be up to us when that happens to restore order and to restore this nation and hand power back to the people, us, the people, because they ripped us off, and now it's time. They've mismanaged the money. They have got inflation to where it's not going to stop. It can't stop. They've done nothing, unless the Fed takes immediate action, which will be drastic. And who's it going to be drastic on? We all suffer with that because it's it's a tax. Inflation is a tax on everybody that purchases, but everybody that manufactures purchases something from somewhere, so they're impacted too. But what it will do, and that's why the Fed has resisted inching up the interest rates, and they should have taken this policy 2 years ago and started in that direction, and they declined to do it because they wanted to maintain Mr. T's economy. And he had people that worked with him, and he had good economists, and I think that he would have already started the switch. But if and when the Fed flips that switch and they start to increase interest rates and pull back money, because that's what it does, it'll pull back money into the banks, and it'll start to dry up the supply of easy money. And when that happens, we'll have some time and a period of time where we suffer, but we'll definitely recover and we'll be better off for it. But it's going to do another thing, and it's going to bring the little corporate derivative game to its knees. Watch the stock market.
Yep, I agree with you. I agree with both of you. So here's my final thought for the night. I just I see all this happening, and I got to go back to my beginning, which is I got to put my faith in God and not in man. There's no man out there that can do any of this without God using him for the instrument. So whoever that be, Trump or whoever. So faith in God, not in man. And that's just my final thought for tonight. So thanks for hopping up here and joining us, Johnny. Shane, thanks for hopping up here with me, brother. Appreciate it. I'm going to pray us out here in just a minute. Thank you guys so much for joining this evening. I know it's Monday night, and it's hard to kind of get back in the swing of things for work, but we're here. We'll be back in the morning as well at 6 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for devotions. And then Headline Hits will be back tomorrow. And then this show again tomorrow evening, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. So check us out, libertywarriornation.com. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this great evening, Lord. Thank you for your many blessings. Thank you for having my two brothers join me this evening, and everybody that was giving us the information in chat. Lord, I just pray blessings over each and every one of them. Lord, we also pray for Shane tonight for his blood pressure. Lord, we just pray that you will heal him, touch him with your healing hand, lift him up, and restore him back to new, Lord. Just when he goes back to see the doctor, that they don't understand why his chart's clear, because you've healed him, Lord. We just thank you for that in your son's precious name. Amen. All right, folks, check us out, libertywarriornation.com. We have our store link there. You guys can get a hold of us through that website as well. And we'll be back here, tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll be back tomorrow evening also at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Final words, Shane?
Thank you, Mike.
All right, brother.
Always love you. You're always a brother. You'll be in my heart forever.
All right, brother. You take care. Thanks for joining me. You all have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Hoping for a sincere performance, but open to finding the moment, to finding out where I'm headed now. Looking for a sign of disaster, so I can make it there faster. I'm weighing the consequences out. I can see in all directions. It's all you can blend in with the crowd. I'm so scared, so damn afraid to look. I'm so sick of talking. I'm wearing the words out, words out. I can see in all directions. It's all open to interpretation, but I see colors that are breaking from the other side, the other side. When I make mountains out of summer trails, when I buckle under all the details, I'll keep going till I make it to the other side, the other side. When it feels like everyone's out to get me, I see the river on the bank.